One of the things that, Famine, that you didn't talk about is your use of dinosaurs. And then Josh had a dinosaur in his too. And for me, my oldest boy is huge into it now. Like Jurassic Dominion came out at the perfect time. He's 7, turning 8. And every time we go to the store, he's like, "Oh, Dad!" But I corrected myself today, and I actually bought him a dinosaur because I was like, this won't work with Mythic Legions, man. They can't ride on these things. They're not big enough, son. Like, we need dinosaurs have to be giant, you know? Like, we got to wait and get the big Indominus Rex and all those things too. I saw your Pentasaurus where you were painting him and you included him in a 1/18th scale, and I was like, I was wrong. And I went and bought him one of the long deck ones that's kind of shorter. I was like, hey, dude, I was totally wrong. We can use these Jawas. We can do this. Here's this video. And he was like, that's what I'm talking about, Dad. I'm like, oh, man, like I should have listened to the kid and not the adult, right? Yeah, I should have listened to the child when it came to toys and imagination. So that's one thing I would say that you inspired and opened my eyes and let my kid enjoy that too. Like, I love the dinosaur incorporation.
Jurassic is my longest collecting toy line. I have been collecting Jurassic since 1993. I had 2 toys for the longest time, but I was collecting magazine articles, magazines, the McDonald's cups, anything that I could get my little greedy little 7-year-old, or what was I, 8 years old, my little 8-year-old hands on, because I love dinosaurs. And then Lost World came out right as I was turning, 13 years old, and so I was right at that kind of edgy, like Ian Malcolm chaos, like that's cool, and it fit. And then I saw Jurassic Park 3, not my favorite of the franchise, but I still love dinosaurs. At one point, I unfortunately did lose the majority of my collection in a move. It happens. I still have some of my original stuff, which is great, but what Mattel has been putting out is fantastic. It's worlds above what we had, and also the parts are compatible with Star Wars, so I can utilize doubles, because I buy duplicates of a lot of the figures for that reason. There's a set out there that keeps dropping down to $13, which comes with an Atrociraptor, a cargo container, and a human female figure. Yeah. I've been using those as storage containers on Gimmick, and I also can use them as background fodder and walls. I stack them up like walls so I can block off certain areas for photos, because as you guys have seen, I'm sure if you've caught anything on YouTube or Instagram, it's not completely done, and I don't like to peel back the fourth wall, as it were, with my photographs, unless I'm showing a work in progress photo. So I'll stack those up and block off a shot, and you'll never see that there's a 1970s yellow wall inside of my closet. Right. And that's just that's essentially free. You pay $10 for a dinosaur and $5 for a human. They've included this thing there, so it's pretty wild, and it's a pretty good get for that price. And just there's so much there that's available to add to your world building, to add to your displays and everything.
It's almost that. It's almost that. It reminds me of Dino Riders a bit, but kind of stepped up. I've actually, just from watching the 2 channels, I've started stockpiling Jurassic Park dinosaurs, and the idea is to put missiles. And there was this awful movie, what was it called? It was on Netflix, where these prisoners get dropped off, and there's all these CG dinosaurs that kill them off, but at the end they're stay tuned for the sequel, and a big T-Rex comes out with miniguns on his shoulders. I wish I could remember. Yeah, it was such a bad movie. Me and my son watched it, and I'm just like, oh my god. But no, it was brutal. But no, both those, it's got me thinking dinosaurs now too. So
yeah, there was a line that Walmart came out with very short time. Primal something, not Primal Rage, but I have one of the Raptors over there. I'm going to grab it.
It was from Leonard the Core. And
yes.
They made
yep. And they still sell those at Walmart, and they do come with awesome cages and little Jeeps and stuff like that. Yeah. Well, I'm up in Canada, man. We get toys 18 years later than they release, except for Marvel Legends. They come out 8 months before they do in the States. Yeah,
this line had saddles and all that stuff. So it was like Dino Riders, but it was quite literally Dino Riders. They were riding on dinosaurs, and they were just really cool, but I could never find them in stores. I saw them once, and I was like, I don't know that I'm going to get that. And then I follow this cat. He used to go by Ted Brothers, but now he's Jurassic Compound. and he started getting them and doing repaints and taking the harnesses off of them and things like that. And I was like, oh man, there's something there. So now, like, I try and find them at yard sales and stuff, but I'm gonna step aside and grab one of the Raptors if you guys want to chop it up for a minute. But like, there's opportunity everywhere with dinosaurs in sci-fi, so I like try and go for that.
Yeah, dinosaurs in sci-fi is freaking awesome.
Yeah, I picked up one of those, I don't know what it was called, those remote control dinosaurs. They sort of look like a raptor. And they're all like robotic and mechanical. They were like,
oh, yeah.
Big news there like a few years ago. But yeah, I've gotten a few of those, and I'm going to definitely do that up into some kind of crazy robotic monster. So
sick.
There was, I don't remember who I saw on IG, but they took one of these smaller ones, one of these size ones, and he had a little bit of a natural curve to his body, and so he put a coat on him and then put a rifle in his hands because he's curved, the arms like this. So he put a rifle in his hands. He's like, "Here's my bounty hunter raptor," and I was like, "That's genius, man!" And like,
you guys remember Dinosaurs for Hire?
Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah, absolutely.
That's awesome. I love that stuff. Yeah.
Well, Josh, you know Josh from Winzilla, he started putting dinos and all his stuff now too. Yeah. Like, we were just talking about last week, and I was like, why am I so late to this game? Like, I bragged about like,
dinosaurs.
Yeah. What? Yeah, you do. Didn't you just have a track thing? Wasn't that? Did we just do that in Europe?
No, I don't have
no. You messing with me?
That was Area 42, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, did you have the Triceratops?
Yeah.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, he had the Triceratops with all the gear on it.
Listen.
Oh yeah,
a lot of worlds.
Yeah. I love it. I still have it right here.
Yeah, we went to a lot of worlds. Okay, I get it. You know, it's all a big travel blur. I'm jet lagged.
Yeah, I don't have it. I haven't come across any live animals. Well, I've got the dog. I've got the robot dog. He's got that robotic leg. But
whoops, that thing is sick, man.
Yeah, let me pop you up in. There you go.
That is so cool.
Oh, I love the bicycle. That's wicked. Yeah. Awesome. If your dinosaur breaks down, you got to play.
Exactly. Look at that. Where did you get all that stuff, though? Like
Hobby Lobby.
Yeah, good grief.
And the dollhouse section.
The dollhouse section.
That dinosaurs carry like $100 worth of just flavor.
Yeah, definitely. Well, this is the leather thingy. This whole thing is a purse that my girlfriend just was discarded. So all of that, even the straps and everything, is part of
that's where I got all my chain from. It's from an old necklace or whatever she was going to throw away.
Totally. And this is Anakin's pod racer right on here.
Oh yeah, wow. Cool.
That's cool.
Oh, that's such a good reuse of the pod racer.
Yeah.
Look at that.
That's dope, man. And
the rest of the purse, these are the insides. I just rolled them up and crazy glued them into like a bunch of little
tent rolls. I love those.
That's awesome.
And that was one thing. We just watched Fammon's video, my boys and I, on again, the Pentasaurus, I think it was, where how you made the saddle. And like Tristan was like, tonight was solo dad night. So like my wife was working tonight, so I brought them home, and we have a tradition where we either cook something that's pretty easy because I don't like to cook, or we grab like Subway or something like that, and we watch Simpsons, right? But instead, we were driving back to Subway. He's like, "Dad, I just want to watch more of these videos." I'm like, "Well, okay, let's see." So I thought we did was watch the guest we had on tonight. I was like, "Yeah, I'm having this guy on. I'm having this guy on." They're like, "Dad," like they were constantly like, "Pause." Like they loved seeing all these worlds and like, well, how far is Canada? I'm like, dude, Canada's so far. Like, how far is? I'm like, they're on the other side of the country, son. So like, they really all wanted to come over. Like, we'll play there first, and we'll go here. So.
Simpsons rock your brains anyway.
No one wants to come to Canada right now. We still have like 4 feet of snow.
Well, that's awesome.
My youngest kid
we just got 20 inches.
My youngest kid is going to be 23 next week. So
same level then. No?
Done.
So I've kind of noticed that most of us have like some sort of convoy or wagon train or trade system, or I just don't have enough room to like put everything.
Dude,
like the Banff is riding single file. I don't have enough. I don't have anywhere to do that.
I get carried away. That's why I had to restrict myself to one shelf. Because I get carried away. I've had every single Transformer like 4 times in my life. And I've had every single Star Wars figure before. And when the sequels were coming out, I'm like, I'm getting out of the game, man. It's like being a crackhead. I was like, plastic crack. I'm like, no.
It always starts with one shelf, man.
Dude, I had all the. I know. I made it big as hell. I made the one shelf as big as
big shelf,
and 2-tier. It's the entirety of my room. So it's over there to over there. That's my whole space.
Yeah, my shelf goes all the way across my room too.
Yeah, so it's still one shelf.
Well, I've got this shed in the backyard, and then we have the office where I have my main desk where I do painting, and so that's like the big crafting room. So
that's awesome.
And then my wife is starting to get into toys and stuff too, so now she needs space.
That's a good problem to have, though. That's a good problem.
She's getting. She's got that the chef, the Muppet. The Swedish Chef, his kitchen. I got her that for Christmas, the old Palisade set. What's a 1 to 12 kitchen, man? That is a badass kitchen.
It's really detailed, yeah. Surprisingly
it's
really
super.
detailed.
Yeah, and we got her a bunch of strawberry shortcake stuff that she had when she was little. It's like, oh no.
Nostalgia.
She got a great strawberry shortcake.
And they get you by the toys.
I'm in the same boat. My wife got into collecting Tomb Raider, X-Files, and Heroes figures for some reason.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. But she'll go out.
Check your mic settings one more time, buddy. You're doing that crackle thing again.
Oh, am I? Yeah, I had to come back, so let me.
Yeah, check that setting again.
The wife actually goes out and she found me that wave of 3 3/4 Marvel guys that's showing up at the dollar stores now.
Oh yeah.
So she came home with like 2 waves. She's like, "There you go." I was like, "Oh, love you."
Wilhelm Toys did a video where he's like, "Hey, check it out! Marvel's going to 3/4 or 4-inch figures now." And I was like, "Yes, please, great! Like that's awesome." And they're for kids. They're priced for kids to buy them. They're not like $25 or whatever. So I love it. It's awesome.
It's funny. Like you've mentioned that before, Dom, where we were talking about who you could include in your world, and it's almost like, oh, that's awesome. Power Glide.
Yeah, Power Glide. This is my nostalgia thing from when I was a kid.
Very cool.
I had that one shitty Power Glide from Micro, bots, and I got it taken away in school. And now I have this thing. So.
Rad. What were you saying though? You said something.
I was just saying you had mentioned it before in some of your other videos where you almost have to draw that line when you're including other figures. Like you might get away with Punisher in say a dystopian world or Star Wars world, but when you throw somebody like Captain America in or the Hulk or something, it's like a little out there. Like what I forget who did it, but somebody made the Hulk into a Gamorrean. That was a great idea. That kind of brings it into that world.
It does, yeah.
But sometimes it's just it sticks out a little too much. So for me, anyways, that's
hard to find a perfect crossover.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep, there he is. Hold on, I'll blow you up again here, Finn.
Yeah, that thing's dope. I love it.
Yeah,
thank you.
I love how you're trying to explain the cape. Like he's wearing a cape because of like stop. He's wearing a cape. That's all you had. End sentence. He's wearing a cape. Like we all, I'd be wearing a cape. That is really great because for me it blends. So I have that same Hulk sitting around here somewhere. It's the universe or new
Marvel Universe.
Universe. And he came out though like in 2016 or something like that. And I got him because he doesn't have the iconic purple pants, and he comes with like some armor. I was like, oh, and he doesn't have the Cro-Magnon brow. It's a little bit pushed back, so I was like, oh, I could use this for something else, right? But the problem is for me, like if it juts out too much, if it's too symbolic, I can't unsee it. And I'm like, I can't incorporate this. I tried and I got rid of all my Marvel universes. It's like, well, maybe I can blend Black Panther, take the head off. I'm like, unless I start doing sculpting or something, I can't unsee it. So that Gamoran though, it looked like a Gamoran first, and then I was like, oh, that's the Hulk body. Like, so that I think that was a successful blend of mixing those two pieces in there.
I was going to make him a gladiator initially. I was going to make him a Gamorrean gladiator, and then my brain started to wander, and I had a Chris Pratt I find him to be the least interesting person on planet Earth, but he's in my movies that I like, so I have action figures of him. Sorry, Chris Pratt, if you see this.
He's a big follower of mine, so yeah.
I saw the figure sitting there, and I thought of Star-Lord, and I was like, man, I should make a Star-Lord. And then I was thinking of other colorful characters that would be in space. Brain immediately went to World War Hulk when they threw him up in outer space. Next thing you know, I'm sitting here cutting a Gamorrean's head off, putting it on there, and like, okay, we're doing this now. Yeah. And the fortunate thing is a Gamorrean is green and the base body was green, so just a couple of washes to blend it, which is easy. I think anybody can do it. I try and encourage customizing at any turn, and I just wound up with that. Some purple paint, some. That bandana was actually the dogs got a hold of it, but it was a custom ordered bandana that says "Famine" in Arabic on it through a creator that I follow on Instagram. Cool. She runs a shop called Bound for Batu, and she makes Disney bound items, so you can wear them to Batu when you go, or if you're going to Star Wars Celebration, you don't want to fully cosplay. First, I was a cosplayer before I got back into toy stuff. So I had the bandana, and I was like, let me use this red material for something. And I'm like, well, who's got a red cape? Superman? Nah, that kind of, I haven't gotten in the DC side of stuff yet, but I was like, well, Thor, like they're buddies, Gladiator, friend from work. Let's have him wearing Thor's cape.
I know him from work.
And that's where it landed.
Well, the dog getting it adds some grit to it. You know what I mean? It adds like some tatters to it. So that's awesome.
And that was my own fault. I did leave it laying somewhere where they could get it, and it happens.
Did you find yourself, I did it when I was making a whole bunch of signs for my setup. Now when I'm watching a Star Wars show, I can actually read the Galactic Basics sometimes that they put on the screen. Yeah, I feel like such a nerd. It's like those ones where like they're speaking to each other in Klingon and you're like, oh, yeah, right on, buddy. But no, it's funny. I'm reading it and I'm like telling my wife what it says. And she's like, you're such a nerd.
Yeah.
I just think it's funny.
Well, that's the thing is they'll throw in characters that don't fit just to fill up this.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, for sure.
Oh, no.
Oh,
again, man, he has a perfect, it's not even an Irish goodbye. It's just like a mid-sentence break. Like, that is great. Good suspense. Man, what was I going to say? The convoy piece is interesting, Josh. So you were talking about everyone's got like these convoys and everything, and you're saying that it's lack of space that is your issue?
Well, everything is kind of set up. You have a vehicle with an open space and a trailer and a horse and got a semi truck, and then it's part of the backup story is they're traveling these great distances to find these things. Well, I don't have a great I don't have that much room. I guess I have a backyard, but I can't get rid of the fence.
I was just about to say, so you're in a shed, which I assume is in a backyard, which I assume has space around it. It's not just butted to your house, right?
Yeah, but there's a fence. I can't get rid of the fence.
So that's hard with the establishing shots.
Yeah.
I mean, so what I've done before is put stuff in between the fence. So I'll put fake plants there, or I've even thrown a gray tarp in the background, and just having a gray shade back there at the very least hid the white picket fence that whoever owned this place put up. And I was like, oh, gross. That is tricky though, man. Yeah. Unless you get on one far side of the yard and just really aim down. But
they do sell these awesome backdrops, and in Canada I pay $20, $25 for them, but they're for school photography.
Yeah.
So, but they'll have space backgrounds. They'll have mountain backgrounds, alien planets. It's awesome. Yeah, that. Yeah.
So I got this.
Show that again.
So hold on. Let me. Hold on 1 second. Let me change it to show the space one.
I utilize these panels from Home Depot or Lowe's. They're like $6 or $7 a pop. There's two versions. There's these smaller ones, then there's bigger ones that are just wider, and they're like vent covers, but they make it excellent, cheap sci-fi wall. I was using them for prop photography when I was making props for cosplayers, and you can just tack them up. I actually have plans to extend it as a YouTubing backdrop to make this a little prettier, but I mean, they look sci-fi enough. They're out of the way, and or just like that. That's cool. I like that.
Can you put that on the full screen?
Yeah. You're making me jump.
Space.
So I had to buy the thingy, which was pretty cheap to be able to hang it off of. But if that light, so it's not set up in order to look at it this way. But whenever I do my So if I did my toys of the week or whatever, I've got that in the background there. So even if there's a gap you can see between the walls here, at least there's space back there, or I've got like a fighter. So if I were to move this around more, I would, I would do a better display, but that's not set up. But yeah, that was pretty cheap. It's only like, I think the most I paid is $18 or something. I have a huge fantasy one that I use for Mythic Legions. They're really fun. I've got 3 of them that I swap out.
Where'd you get it?
Just going to Amazon. So I think it was photography background, but I looked up tapestries.
I usually search up photographer background, and it usually comes up, or photography background. And yeah, I've got ones with like alien planets. I've got one. I'm pretty sure it's the Blade Runner scene, but it looks like Coruscant. So
yeah, I've got one like that too. It's neon. It's very very Blade Runner. So really fun. And I bought the stand finally because I got sick of like trying to figure out how to pin and like, well, maybe I'll hang a string. I'm like, I'm just gonna spend the $30 or whatever, buy the freaking stand, and then I can just flip it around. So one side has the trees, the other side is space. So if I'm doing like Mythic Legions or fantasy, I flip it to the trees, and then if I'm doing space, or sci-fi or whatever, I flip it back around. So yeah, and if those little seams bother you, I had luck with a couple of them. When they're hanging, you hit them with a hairdryer. Oh yeah, I've got it. Yeah. If it bothers, like I just left some. It doesn't bother me, but like if it bothers you, like I had luck with that. Anyway. Usually it's so far back they don't show up, but right then because I had the light set up this way instead, it's very obvious. But usually it's down here and it's looking up, so it doesn't. But you're right. Yeah, hair dryers. So, So you talked about all of you have stations or ports, or what Wintvilla calls the spot, right? It's these locales that people gravitate towards. I think, Rad, you're the most expansive of them because you've almost got like a vertical lenses of like, this is the Empire, this is the Ewoks. You've got like multiple. I think that's why you're a galaxy. Like, I've been lucky. I've been in my house we've had it for about 10, 12 years now. So I kind of, and it's nice now that I've seen all these other people. It almost felt like you were kind of by yourself because I don't fit in with regular toy collectors. And now, you know what I mean? Like everybody thinks it's awesome when they come over, but I'm talking to guys that are vintage museum setups and, stuff like that. And then finally now you connect with other people doing it. So you feel like you're part of a bit more of a community. Whereas with so go ahead, Dom. Yeah. No, I would have pulled that thread. So that is a great thread that has been eye-opening for me. Like I assumed that all toy collectors did what I did, but when I got into this, I felt it was the opposite. I'm like, what? I don't keep my stuff in glass. Like, what are you talking about? For you all, and you're all roughly the same age as us. I think that some of you said, like, I've been doing this for a long time. For you all, do you find that same thing that Rad just said was like, hey, this is different? Or do you think, no, this is what most toy collectors like us do?
Don't keep your toys in a box, weirdo.
I'm not casting judgment, nor should you. However, whatever brings them joy is fine. Like box collectors, like it's not something I'm gonna do, but if that's what brings them joy, like 100%. Like baseball cards, like it's not my thing. If you want to do baseball cards, and get into baseball cards. But
that's kind of my deal. It seems, I don't want to say it's easier to take a headshot, where you point a green light at a figure and you take a picture of its face. I mean, that's cool, but it to me it seems low effort.
Okay.
And it's not really it doesn't seem hard. It doesn't seem involved enough to be an actual hobby that I would spend time on. I wouldn't go out into the shop and just I don't know. I don't brain that way. So
okay.
But it seems like a lot of the toy collectors that I follow, that's what they do, where they've got, they focus on one particular kind of genre and they don't mix anything, and they don't really, I think we're really more playing with the toys than collecting the toys.
Okay.
Because, to me, collecting is, I have a goal in mind. I want to get every Boba Fett.
Completionist.
Yeah. I don't do that. I like Boba Fett. If I see one that I like, I might get it if I don't have that particular flavor of Boba Fett yet. But I don't think either that we suffer from the same kind of FOMO that like other collectors suffer from.
Yeah.
Like
you know, was like that with Legends, but with the prices going up and they're just kind of rehashing stuff, I'm kind of backing off on that and more focusing on my world building. But you can go to, you know, Value Village, Thrift, whatever, and you can pick up all these guys, and you're creative enough that you can create whatever you want out of it. So it's
like we're taking pictures of 20-year-old figures kit bashed with a 2-day-old figure riding a 20-year-old vehicle. I mean, it's not everybody is doing, or even they don't have the stuff to do this.
Rad, you mentioned earlier, I think you and I are alike, where we've dumpster dove and we've gone to, like, you know, the restore and tried to find things. That's one of the things that I kind of push on my channel is, like, I make okay money at my job. I could always be making more. I'll always take more. But, like, I would rather spend that money on more on cheerleaders, yes, or 2 sandwiches. I think we established last week was the 2 sandwiches, Dom. I'd rather spend my money on, you know, my family or going places and, you know, experiences. And I love toy collecting. I'll spend money on toys, but if I can go to a flea market or a yard sale or, you know, Facebook Marketplace and pick up something for $10, $5, and they're like, oh, it's got a broken wing, I'll knock a couple of dollars off. Neat, because they don't know that I'm going to go home and mash 5 of these things together. But, like, I have that eye for those things. So when I'm at yard sales, I'm looking at shadow boxes. I'm looking at, like, wooden, you know, cabinets and thinking to myself, like, hey, what could I build out of this? I was at a free pile of stuff on the side of the road, which I don't know if you guys are maniacs like me, you'll just stop. But I found, you know, a duplicate of this. This is one I got at a flea market. I found another one.
Oh,
but
cool.
It's just a wooden shelf, but now it's going to be a balcony.
Perfect balcony.
Painted gray, it's a balcony.
Yeah. And so I found another one of these. I think it's like half scale, half the size. Wow. But, like, now I have matching furniture to go in, and it was free. Like, both of this I paid like 25 cents for at the local flea market up the road, and the other one was free. Like,
I think I've been to every thrift store within 100 miles of here.
You find a lot of those. But yeah, you do find a lot of those shelves, and you kind of wonder, like, the kid that made it in shop class, if he ever, like, knew what happened to his crappy shelf.
Sig, I think Sig, you were about to say something. What happened? What were you saying?
No, that shelf is like $30-40 at Hobby Lobby.
Oh yeah, yep.
Oh yeah,
yep. So basically, you've got the fear of missing out or completionist, right? Like, I have to finish this line, I have to finish this line. But on the flip side, we've got us who are hoarding junk. You know what I mean?
I have more totes of parts than I have complete things.
And that's where I've started to run into with my question. I don't know if you guys run the same thing, where at this point, like, I've got stuff that I'm looking at now with a second set of eyes and be like, do I really need these dudes anymore? And, like, I shocked the vintage collector. I was like, oh yeah, I sold all my original He-Man figures. Like, why? Because that was great, but I don't want them now. And I may sell my classics too, because, like, there's other ones that I like. I like Mythic Legions more. They just mean more to me. Do you guys find yourself, like, at a struggle with the amount of stuff you have because it's not a checklist you're going down to, and you can always build or grab things?
Yes. Look, I've got junk just literally feet for my really nice diorama. I've got piles of crap.
Hold on, Sig. Let me get Josh first. Sig, let me get Josh first, and I'll come back right back to you. Oh man, look at that.
I mean, this is like feet away. Yeah. I mean, it's that locker.
Hey, you've got those lockers in your actual set too.
Yeah. I mean,
yes.
Yeah. That's where I got the idea. I inspired myself. But yeah, I've got way too much. I got so much crap, and this is not even all of it. You know, and those are kind of nicer, but I've got boxes of crap in the closets inside. I mean, I got boxes of crap in the garage still.
So I think the only people who suffer like this comparatively are people who keep mint on card, because they're like, oh my gosh, where am I gonna throw all these boxes? Like, boxes take up way more space than the Diet Dr. Peppers. They take up way more space than loose figures, right? So, like, in-box collectors, like, suffer from that's why they start making with spines on them. So all right, Sig, you wanted to show, what were you trying to show off there?
Yeah, this is just a bunch of bullshit that I have laying around, styrofoam.
PG, Sig. I don't want
I'm sorry. This is just a bunch of random stuff that I have laying around. These are baby wipes and
genius.
cheesecloth, and you paint them green and have them dry.
Yeah.
Over that, and it's just a what do you call it? Pallets.
Yeah, they're just canvas covered pallets. Oh, look at the cat on top too, man. Oh,
two
cats. That's
Yeah.
awesome. Oh my gosh. You guys details for stuff. Just phenomenal. So I did paper towels once and did the Elmer's glue soak and then laid them over that kind of looked like mesh netting, sort of, but I'll have to try baby wipes in the future. That's pretty cool.
Baby wipes are the blue shop towels, not the plasticky ones, but those really soft ones.
Yeah.
Those work a treat. But like
awesome.
For me, for the mess, as long as I keep it organized and keep it in boxes, it doesn't become a problem for me. What becomes an issue is when I get that weird, strange one piece that doesn't fit anywhere, doesn't like set out of the way, and I keep tripping on it, or like I put it somewhere else and then I'm like, oh, where did I put that thing? And then I don't find it, and then I use something else, and then 20 minutes later there it is. So like it doesn't, it's not an issue for me, but I've always done art. Like I said, I was doing props and cosplay pieces for people before. So like I very much am used to having a lot of like PVC foam, EVA foam, foam blocks, plastic bits, assembly kits laying around. In your dinosaur video, you were like, this is part of a Star-Lord costume. Oh, I've got this ribbon over here I got from Joanne. Like you were already talking about what I imagine in my mind, a shelf that I have very similar on there too. So, yeah.
So one of my one of my New Year's resolutions was to get more organized. Hence this unit here. It's broken into like thrusters, laser guns, panels, like so. But I've got an 8-year-old son he's organizing it for me. So
child labor.
Yeah,
I like the I don't have a single one within reach here, but they're the flat tackle box totes that are clear that you can flip them up. I start putting all my weapons to that too, so I've got like a pistol one or whatever like that, and they're just stack up. Those are pretty good.
Dude, you have drawers and drawers of figures, man.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, so there you go. Those are pretty good too because those are stackable. Well, so the reason why I have drawers of figures is because my boys and I play with them, and when they were starting to be within reach of stuff, I had all my Marvel Legends out, and every time they take them down, the accessories got mixed up, and then I have to go back and I would stand the figures up one by one. I was like, this is so much work. Like I am not doing nothing, and by the time I got like half them up, they tear the rest down again. I'm like, never mind. I'm never doing this again. It's all bins or like I've said this on multiple streams, but I've got like 3 scenes that we've been playing going out. There's like Jawa Village, there's a forest over here, and then we were just starting an invasion or whatever like that over there. So yeah, that's why I've got to have drawers and bins because I can't do shelf display. I did have a question though too. So because you all are customizers, and you just kind of pointed that tower back there, what does your fodder bin look like? What is that? Is that a daily struggle?
Oh God, I have 50 bins
50 fodder bins.
Jesus, it's ridiculous. I can't keep the fodder I've got straight.
Yeah.
I did an organizing system with the UPC tags that I got, and I got up to like 45 bins.
You UPC tagged your RFID, like you've got like a scanner gun to see.
Yeah, and it was a case. It's got like 100 UPC stickers, and you stick them on whatever you want, and you scan it in, and you make it on your phone.
Yeah, you create a database.
And I got it to like 45 bins, and I filled up the locker and like all these shelves, and then I started building stuff and painting stuff and customizing stuff, and it all got intermingled. I need to go back to it, but it took me like 3 months to do that. I organized 20 years worth of stuff. It took a long time.
Yeah, it's wild. For me, it's a little more difficult because I do multiple lines. Like I do massive Masters of the Universe dioramas, Marvel Legends. So I've got different fodder bins, and it's
you got to keep it all separate.
But like this thing, like I'm actually getting really organized now. I'm kind of proud of myself. But the next new lot of stuff I get in, I start tearing stuff apart. It's going to end up laying all over my desk. And it's going to take me 6 months to put it away. I'm sure of it.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Sig, you seem to have with your one shelf doctrine there. Do you have a big mess that's hidden off camera too?
I do. I'm an artist for a living, so I have in my backyard. I have paint, scaffolding, and different styrofoam and bits and old coffee cans and whatnot. But not here, not like not like your fodder bin. I got rid of all of that. I'm like, if I'm gonna make something, I'll grab the stuff then. So I call it a junkyard. I don't want to invest in a junkyard.
That's good. So that's my other question too, is that for me, like, I'm starting to look at stuff with another look and be like, I don't know if I want these Vipers. They can't hold their rifles, and like, it's the best that was out when we had it. Mm-hmm. Do you guys find yourself just like taking the axe to your collection and being like, all right, let's get the 3.0 now and like chop this section out?
I'm thinking about doing that to all my 25th anniversary GI Joes. I have hundreds of GI Joes that don't bend their elbows more than like 30 degrees, and their forearms look like hell, and their heads are okay, but their body is articulated for nothing.
Actually, I've got a bunch of Joe heads. I was actually in a position where I had like a massive Joe collection. The videos are still up on my channel. But I had the flag. I had a Cobra base built. And I came down every day and I was like, this stuff doesn't give me any joy at all. So I recently not recently, 6-8 months ago, sold like all my G.I. Joe stuff, 25th, vintage. I sold the flag to my buddy on a payment plan because he wanted it like so badly.
That's awesome.
And it was such it just lifted such a burden off my shoulders. Because at that point, I felt like I was collecting to compete with other people. Like, you know what I mean? But my jam is like, the custom stuff. And you get caught up in that whole circus of collecting and like, well, I got the flag and I got this and blah, blah, blah. It doesn't make me happy. So why do I have the stuff? What I have now makes me happy. I collected Black Series. I was 80 figures in and I was like, what am I doing? Like TVC is like just as detailed. I sold them off. I was like, get rid of this stuff. Like, I'm like, just, you fall into that trap. It's like, wow. I think it's that conflict where you don't really fit in with the regular collectors and you're doing your own jam, but it's complicated.
Sometimes you just want to have something to buy. I mean, you go to Walmart on that 40th trip, you don't leave with something. Well, hell, let me get this sand person. Let me get this, whatever. Sometimes you just want to buy something.
Famine, I think you had something you wanted to say, yeah?
I was agreeing with Red. Like, I was during the pandemic is when I got this initial idea that at the beginning of the pandemic, I got let go from my job. Best thing that ever happened to me. But I got let go and I was writing and I was getting, residual income from different things. So I was set and I had some 12 or 6-inch Star Wars figures. And I was like, all right, I'll get back into Star Wars collecting. I'll do Black Series. I already do Marvel Legends. And I'm always looking for a deal, so I buy stuff here and there. And it got to the point where I tried to build, and there's a video on my channel of just one of the layouts, just like a little city block, like a tiny city block. And it took up like half of my girlfriend's handmade dining room table that she made. Like, she poured resin, like it was this, big. And I'm like, I can't world build like this, and I don't enjoy going and looking for these figures. And I started to think to myself, like, what do I miss? And it's like, man, I miss the Jurassic stuff. I was buying a little here and there, but I was like, I miss the 118 Star Wars stuff. And so I got rid of the figures eventually. I had a rolling toolbox, 2 stacks high, accessories on the top. And I brought it to my buddy's toy store, toying around in Johnstown, New York. And I said, hey, listen, make me an offer on this stuff. I just want all this 112 stuff out of my life. It doesn't bring me any joy. Give me store credit. Oh, wow. And I'm going to get 118 and I'm just going back into it full tilt. And I've had so much fun since. I haven't had a single day where I've sat down to mess with toys or sat down to like open something up and I've just been like, meh. Even the 5-point of articulation figures, which I'm vehemently against. I can pick up a stick and get more fun out of it. But neither here nor there. But like even the 5-point of articulation figures, I'm finding uses for them. I'm finding heads that I can pop off of them, arms that I can swap out.
The robots work okay.
Nothing stops me from cutting the figures up and reposing the arms or swapping out ball hinges and putting them on there. Like it took me a minute to realize like, hey, these could be great fodder if they're cheap. But I found so much joy in doing 1/18 scale instead of 1/12 just because of the size and the variety of things that are available and the cost difference. Now, things being brand new in the TVC line remains to be seen. It's getting a little wild where you're charging me $18, $19, which is real close to a Black Series price for a figure and 2 bonus helmets, but that's a different discussion for a different day. But I can go on Facebook Marketplace, I can go to the secondhand toy stores, I can go to independent toy stores, things like that, order off of Etsy, which I think my next video is going to be about third-party makers, and I can get bits and pieces and make figures that I want. Like, that's not okay, well, that's the Hulk that's on the shelf. I can make the Hulk that I want. I can make the Quinlan Voss that I want to build. I can order that, Netflix John Bernthal head for the Punisher figure if I want to. And I can build the figures that I want for cheap and get more joy that way than I was with the, 6-inch figures. It was expensive. It was taking up so much space. I had to, and it wasn't even a compulsion or anything. It's just I wanted to keep things bagged up until I could use them. Whereas like 1/18, man, I have all that stuff opened up. I have the things that I want on display. I didn't have to worry about space, and just this is so much more fun for me than those figures were. And it was so hard to find 1/12 scale Star Wars. Like it's just tough. It's I would go to Target Tuesday mornings at opening, which is when they reset around here. And I would just get beat out every time. There were guys like straight up power walk, like old ladies in the mall, just to the back of the store. And then they you got it. And then they power walk to the front of the store with an arm loader.
You did that really well, Sig. You nailed that. You nailed
it. The G.I. Joe figures, which are great. I will not take anything away from Classified. They are great fodder for Star Wars customizing. Oh, well. This gentleman, Ronan, that I follow on Instagram, I'm always sharing his work. He does a lot of 6-inch stuff. And man, he cobbles from the G.I. Joe to the Mandalorian. It just looks great, but it's like you couldn't get any of that. I found 3 at retail, 3 G.I. Joe figures the entire time I was trying to collect those for world building, and I just got beyond it, and I just wanted to do something that brought me joy again, and this was my way of doing that. I was already back into the Jurassic. That stuff thrills me to death every time I get to open a Jurassic Park toy. Best day ever. And I just thought back to when I was a little kid, and I was Joe's here. I was a little kid, and there's a photo that I always share around Christmas time. My grandmother and grandfather gave me the entire Episode 1 first wave of figures for Christmas, and it's me in this little fleece zip up, and I'm just holding this armload of these figures, and I had so much fun with those toys. And every time I get a new 1/18 scale figure or make a new custom or anything to do with this, I get that same amount of joy. And it makes everything else about this hobby. Yeah, it makes everything else about this hobby so much better. So like the organization doesn't bug me, like having extra things that are like it's small potatoes in the long run, because I get to make art, I get to make entertainment, I get to help, teach people new tricks, and I get to learn constantly. Yeah. I did Stan Winston's School for Character Arts to learn design and creature design, and just like learning different paint methods, seeing things that people do. And it like throws that switch in my brain. Like when I saw your the Mantis on the crab droid, I don't want the crab droid, but man, that gave me an idea to use the Mantis top on a tank instead. Instead of having a tank gun. It's just that little switch flips in my brain now, and I look at every aspect of this hobby, and I have so much joy. And I try and walk away from it with just all the positives, and let any of the what would be perceived as negatives fall right off.
Okay, so that is something I've been. First of all, what's her name? If it doesn't bring you joy, get rid of it. The Kono Mori or
Marie Kondo.
Marie Kondo.
Yeah, exactly right. So so that is an interesting point that I want to open up to you all too. So you are buying things to kit bash. You bought the crab legs and the Mantis head on there too. So with toy news or things that come out, like pick your line, pick whether it's Star Wars, whether it's Astro Raid, whether it's Jurassic Park, pick your line. When you get things that come out, does the toy news bother you? Does the complaints that you hear, does that resonate with you all, or do you just say like, hey, I could pick that piece off and I'm good with it? Like this.
For me,
yeah, that's the body of it. Yeah.
That's all I have left of that crab droid.
Yeah.
That's the front end of a speeder bike right there, my man.
Or the head. That's the head of a robot. Yeah.
Yep.
Sea-Doo.
It's yeah.
Intergalactic jet ski.
I got a cybernetic implant. Yeah, dude. Sometimes figures are perfect the way they are, but man, my mind immediately goes to what I can do with it, you know. And I'm into Acid Rain World huge, and I missed whatever was going on 6 years ago, like the marine laurels and stuff. I missed all that. That's how I make it. You know, got to make your own stuff sometimes.
What about the rest of you?
Yeah, I definitely take cues, but I found it funny, at least in Canada anyways, that Buzz Lightyear ship has gone up to $130 Canadian on Amazon. And I think it's geared because everybody was buying them, so it's a popular thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like I finally got my Buzz Lightyear that I'm gonna join the party and start making them into droids and stuff. But for the most part, I find like the customizer, like this community is probably like the least toxic community I've ever seen in the entire hobby. I find like Marvel Legends guys are brutal. Star Wars guys are brutal. It's like, if you hate it that much, what are you doing? Go play.
I don't know.
Play golf or something.
It's an excellent question.
Yeah.
Are you having fun? Are you having fun with it?
Yeah,
like,
if it's not fun, why are you doing it? Like,
If you're stressed, if you're that stressed about like collecting G.I. Joe Classified, then why are you collecting it? You know, like,
there's gonna be an error on a toy sometime, and you just have to fix it.
It is,
you know, hot water or a. You know, or
I've got a Firefly sitting over here from Classified that has his eyes like this. Like it's like they're way off, and it's just, you know, it's one of those things where you're just like, okay, well,
well, my Firefly,
or just goggles or something.
The T-bar and his legs are going to break, and that, you know, it's fresh out of the box. You know, they're already stressed.
What I thought was brilliant was Leonard got the Alien license. Dude,
Love those.
I bought like 3 of those power loader suits. And like you weather them up and stuff, they look killer. I don't know what's up with the Gatling gun. Like you don't need the Gatling gun unless you're loading prisoners or something. But that Spiral figure is awesome. Like
that's funny that a lot of us seem to be into Marvel Legends, and Marvel Legends is one of the few where I'm like, I had to have this one character, like Spiral. Like I see that you didn't modify that either, right? But even still, you're right. I feel that I don't want to speak ill of any fan base or any collector, right? Because we all do it for different reasons. But I feel like if your expectations for a thing is so high that it can never really satisfy you, because you're chasing a thing that was when you were a child, and so it was perfect, and you're comparing it to that moment. Or you've got a really good figure and you're trying to compare, like you said, you got a flaw in mine, so it's ruined. Like I wondered if that's a collector's completionist kind of thing, like a dedicated line, or if that's a toy in collectors in general. I feel it may be people who are more dedicated to a specific line.
I think it's the line specific, maybe, or
I think if you have to have a figure that is perfect to the comic book version, and then you need a figure that's perfect to a second comic book version, that you have to get some sort of OCD to do that anyway. Like I need Wolverine version 13 from the 1978 appearance. I don't give a crap about none of that.
But I don't. I think a lot of it too is. People, I bet you 50% of the people going on these streams complaining about Legends don't feel that way. It's mob mentality. People just want to get on the popular opinion. Rolls, and it kind of throws the perspective off a little bit.
That's our mission statement is the exact opposite of that. That's exactly what we're trying to stay away from.
I don't play into that stuff, and it drives me nuts. It's like a movie can never do well now because everyone's just gonna hate it.
Yeah. So it still makes billions of dollars.
Yeah.
Clearly, you went and saw it.
450 million.
And I don't want to bash on people who have a love of a thing, right? Like if they love Classified, they love Marvel Legends. My question is just like what you said. So why are you following it if you love it so much, right? Like if you love it so much, why do you hate it? It's like an abusive relationship. Yeah. But so to twist this out of this rabbit hole we went into, some people have described this as being like the golden age of action figures, even more than the 90s, right? Like all this like wonderful age. What is the best thing right now about collecting? I was going to ask this earlier in the show, but it was too much of a tangent. What is the best thing right now about collecting toys?
You can get anything you want. There's so much different stuff. You got the Acid Rain style. You got the Joy Toy. Joy Toy is killing it with the different things. They got the Kung Fu movie figures.
That's awesome.
They got the Warhammer stuff.
They got I forgot about that
the space stuff. They got the robots. They got the vehicles. It's nuts. You got Hasbro. The G.I. Joe Classifieds, if you can find them, they're generally pretty freaking cool figures.
Yeah, I mean,
you're into G.I. Joe.
I'm deep in Classified, but
for
instance, the Range Viper went up today with like the Night Force Big Ben, and it was sold out in like seconds. Amazing. And I was like, I didn't even know about it. So like, that was the first like Classified I actually didn't get recently. I was just like, I haven't had trouble. Everyone's talking about like, oh, it's so hard to get this, it's so hard to get that.
At the very beginning,
that much issue.
I showed up at Target on the release day of when it was supposed to come out, and I showed up at Target, and nobody even knew what I was talking about, huh?
Yeah,
G.I. Joe. What do you mean?
They don't care. It's targeted boys.
Huh? It's like it's release date. There's supposed to be 5 cases of freaking Cobra Troopers here, and I won.
Oh, the Troopers was difficult. The Cobra Island stuff at the beginning was tough.
All the way through, and then I got burnt out. I was going to Target 3 or 4 times a day.
Ooh,
I don't want to go to Target.
See, it's funny up here in Canada, we have this store that's always stocked. It's called Toys R Us because everything.
Get out of here!
I never heard of it.
Salt in the wound.
You know what they want Canadian for a basic Marvel Legend? $44.
Oh, I heard about that.
My God.
The prices there are insane.
If you're desperate, go to Toys R Us. They have everything because nobody buys it. It's so
nobody buys it.
$26
They're the ultimate collectors.
A vintage collection figure. I'm just like, whoa.
Oh my gosh, that's insane.
Dude, it's wild. And the places are stocked, like they are overflowing with stock, and a sale is like $2 off. I'm like, you are not missing anything by not.
Yeah, the problem is I'll walk into my Target and there's nothing in it. You know,
I wish we had Target still up here. It lasted for like a year in Canada. I was like, all right. The clearance sales were great though.
Target was like, it's too cold. Get out of here.
Too cold. Those red circles are shriveling up out front. You can't do it anymore.
Famine.
The giant red balls kept deflating out in front of the Canadian Target.
Well, it's funny when they closed the mall across the road, bought them and painted them yellow. I was like, sure.
Famine. I had to walk to grab a drink real quick, but did you answer like what's the best thing about collecting right now? Did you already answer that question?
No, I didn't. I think I think that the best thing about collecting right now is the availability of artists. I think third party is changing the way that toy collecting is done, because as it was brought up, if a figure isn't the if Dr. Doom doesn't come with the mask that you want, but everything else on that figure is the 1987, variant cover costume, you can jump on Etsy or jump on eBay or jump into a forum or a group or look on YouTube, and somebody is either making the thing that you want, or they'll take your money and happily make that thing, and you can have it in your paw within a couple of weeks. If you have your own 3D printer, they send you the file. You got that thing today. There's really, if you have the means to do it, you can get it. And also there's so many tools and so many things. Like when I started customizing, back when I was 14 years old on the original Jedi Defender forums and Yak Face forums, I had zero inkling of what I was doing, and I'd pick up tips and tricks there. Like this guy Justin Cook, he goes by Chewy on the Yak Face forums. He was like my customizing idol. We still talk, But he would share tips and tricks. But like now there's YouTube, there's all sorts of videos. You can go to online art schools. You can reach out to sculpt. There's tools so you can make it on your own if you can't get somebody else to do it. But it's like the accessibility of the artist that's out there now, and people that are makers, that are artists that want to share those things that they make and sell those things that they make. Like I have this goes back. This was for the both of you guys. You were talking about Firefly influence. I ordered a Malcolm Reynolds head sculpt to go on my custom Mal body that I've been working on, just so I could have.
There you go. Look at that.
Mal in gimmick, and it's this is a the trench coat comes from Owen Grady from the newest Jurassic movie.
Okay.
This is a Cassian body. I think Cassian's holster, but he's going to get suspenders, get the right shirt. I'm going to heighten the boots and paint the head sculpt. And then I have the Funko blaster that came with this terrible, atrocious Funko 5-point of articulation figure. And then I'm going to have a Malcolm Reynolds figure in my
Very
world.
cool.
And
yeah, that's awesome.
It's a 118. You can't go to the store and buy this, and yet I was able to put this together,
relatively
to make the
simply.
joke. Tony Stark in a cave with a box of scraps. I had figure parts and extra pieces left over, and then I just
you gotta say that with a lot more vehemence.
For $7, I had this thing shipped to my house from Arizona that day, and it's a spot on likeness. I also bought an Ashley Williams, from Evil Dead head sculpt because I want to make Ash in gimmick. The Necronomicon opens up portals. What better way for me to bring in Ash than with the Necronomicon, so I can make him awesome. In this scale? There were Evil Dead figures in 118, but man, are they expensive on the secondary market.
They're also fragile because they have those and they're all broken. All the wrists are broken. The arms, they all broke.
Whatever that plastic was. Whatever that plastic was, it was just it was like almost like resin from a 3D printer. It wasn't the same plastic you'll get from Hasbro.
Dom, we don't talk negatively about Mezco on this channel.
So it was early Mezco. I said early. So
I got Gomez right here, man. We love Mezco. We just can't afford we can't afford the figures, so we get the 5-point of articulation Mezco and pop his head off and put him on a Joy Toy body.
Wow. Joy Toy is great, man. You know what? Us add on to the artist's mentality and what you're saying.
What the heck is that?
Third party is like all the Kickstarters and all the indie toy lines we have to choose from these days too. It's not even just like there's artists out there crafting individual stuff and 3D printing. It's just like it's not just Marvel Legends and Joy Toy and and Classified or whatever. It's not just Hasbro and Mattel. You have Savage Crucibles coming up and all this other stuff that's so cool. You're just like, I can build a Triceratodon army with that new dinosaur line that's coming out. I don't even remember what it's called.
Defenders of the Earth. Yeah.
It's just that's so cool. Yeah, what is this? Sick.
What is this?
It's a custom figure I made. It's the Chupacabra.
That's great.
These are predator hairs. It's a Carnage body.
Oh, wow,
Carnage head, and then a custom paint job with Dormammu's little thingy here. He's like a Chupacabra guy.
That's awesome, man.
Chupacabra!
That's great.
So that was something I was going to say too. The art. Oh, Rad, did you answer? I'm sorry, Rad and Josh. Did you already weigh in on this?
I think so.
Oh no, I didn't. But I was just going to say it's just
Rad, go ahead.
The availability of figures right now. I don't know what it's like down there, but I haven't had to struggle to find any kind of Marvel Legend or anything in the store right now. It's and GameStop up here is typically getting stuff months before you guys are right now anyway. So
I noticed that.
Yeah, that's why they keep canceling my pre-orders.
Going to Canada.
Yeah, but GameStop is actually becoming my pre-order place. I'm kind of getting away from Big Bad Toy Store because the Canadian dollar just sucks right now. And by the time I pay that and border fees and taxes, it's just not worth ordering. But it's my Big Bad Toy Store is my backup. If I absolutely need the figure, I'll pre-order it and I'll get it for sure. So
go ahead, damn it, show that up again.
This is my custom Quinlan Voss. I made him a soft goods cover, so he looks like a Ronin Samurai, and I put him. Cool. This is actually a Marvel Universe Hawkeye body. So it had the bare arms, which I wanted. I made his shoulder pad out of one of the more realistic figures of his. I kept the Clone Wars animated head because I just love the harsh jaw lines and the sharpness of his face, but like it articulates way better. It's got a mix of soft and hard goods, and it's like, again, as an art, you know, you can get like the accessories are all third-party pieces. Like I couldn't get this quality at a Hasbro unless I kit bashed with some of the stuff that they had with other things, and that's what I did. And like, this thing's dope.
So what's funny too is with all the availability is like a mixed bag. It's definitely Joe. So Joe and I have been friends for a long time. We would jump in the car, go to Fayetteville, we'd make a circuit. We'd hit Walmart, Target, and I think there's another Walmart on the way out of town, right? So we do like this loop, right? And it was like right after high school, we just jump in the car on Wednesdays and then, you know, hit the comic shop. And you never knew what was coming out back then. There was no internet, really. So you're just like, oh, let's go see. Oh, there's a new toy line. What the heck is this, right? Oh, it's Toys R Us. That's right. We had a Toys R Us. Oh, very cool. Good grief, man. And so now I feel I'm still doing the same thing, but for some reason it's a little more exhausting. And I guess I lean more to what's online, like the online readiness. I'm like, here we go. That's the pre-order. Got it. You know, like, so I would say there are available. We just have to change maybe the model of how we pursue things. You know what I mean? And also with the availability, do you all feel there's too much out there?
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. It's easy to overspend with a pre-order or a payment plan or a... I think
the pre-orders is what kills me. Actually, I just, Dom, I don't know if you like got a ship notification for...
Hold on, wait. All right.
Go ahead, Red. Go ahead,
Josh?
No, I'm just saying, like, we're getting... I've already got pre-orders for September and, like, next year showing up in Big Bad Toy Store, and it's hard to budget for that stuff.
Yeah.
Like, they've already got that, what's that, the next one with the next Snake Dude for Marvel Legends, Puff Adder. That Puff Adder wave. Yeah. It's supposed to be out in like late summer, and I'm already getting it in my pile of loot on Big Bad Toy Store. Like, what is going on?
I pre-ordered that too. I'm screwed.
Yeah, no,
that's kind of what I'm saying. Now. Like those pre-orders, like you kind of map it out like financially because they're not charging up front, and then like you're like, oh, okay, well that's January and that's February and that's March or that's Q3 or whatever, you know, and you can kind of go.
They all show up together,
but then they all just like everything gets delayed, and then other stuff gets moved up, and then you just get slammed in like one. And I'm like, what?
I'm worried about. I got like $600 or $700 worth of pre-orders that are supposed to hit, you know, March. You know, if I get that email, I'm gonna have to cancel some of it. I can't do that right now.
Yeah, you know? I started scaling back my pre-orders a lot.
Yeah,
you know, because
I started. There's a place called Berry Berry, and I think he's in China. I'm not sure, but the prices, even with the shipping, is less than Big Bad, and I break it up with the PayPal payments for no interest.
Oh yeah.
So it's a pre-order, but I'm paying for it, but not all at once.
Yeah.
So
like that.
I can deal with that. I can budget that, you know, and that's within my, you know, $150 a month.
Big Bad would give the option to like pay up front or pay some up front or like or something, or just like if you have $1,000 in pre-orders, like I should just be able to give them $100 a month.
Yeah, I need to start making payments on some of this stuff.
And like deposit it in my
layaway. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Sig.
Also,
go ahead.
Also, they need to put the actual date when it's released, because my Tao big boys have been on release every month. They change it.
But Berry Berry gets it earlier. A lot of places get that stuff way earlier than Big Bad. You know, months and months. Like my Crimson Slaughter set, the Warhammer bad guys.
Yeah.
They're on the way, and they haven't even thought about hitting it Big Bad yet.
Yeah.
See, so I think you had a different. Everyone said yes, but you had a different opinion. I feel like to the question of like, is there too much?
No, because the only reason we think there's too much is because there's the internet, and we can see everything that's happening all over the world. But there's like 8 billion of us, you know.
Yeah, and 2 to 3 years in advance too, right? It's not even right now. It's like, this is all coming out in the future too. Yeah,
definitely. And I don't know. I'm happy that we have a.
I'm definitely happy. My wallet's not happy. That's
my wallet is not happy. Yeah, my wallet is not happy.
Famine, you had a different approach.
Yeah, I don't think it's that there's too much stuff out there, because I think you hit the nail on the head with that last statement. A lot of it's 2 and 3 years lead time. Like, it's cool that Hasbro, when they do their live streams, are like, hey, this is what's pipeline and this is what's coming out in the future, and pre-orders are going up, and then they were canceling pre-orders and then they open them back up. It's difficult to for me at least to consider those things as out there, because they're not. The things can get we saw, product deliveries get pushed back. Like you guys said, all of a sudden something that was 5 months away is showing up now, but the thing that was supposed to come out last week now got pushed to winter of next year. It's like we're throwing money at items effectively that we don't know when we're going to get them just to get it, which is wild to me. And like, I do it. Don't get me wrong. I am not a high horse.
No, yeah, we all do.
I've pre-ordered stuff like that. Like I said, GameStop is habitual. It'll be like, oh, sorry, we're out of the thing that you pre-ordered. I'll never understand how a pre-order sells out, but neither here nor there.
Yeah. Well, that Mezco Batman that everybody's been waiting on is what, 3 years?
The 89 Batman for 3.5 years. Yeah.
I never even heard of it.
There was no word on it, and then out of nowhere, the Flash trailer hit, and they're like, guess what? We're shipping them out. And you're like, have you been sitting on this?
Yeah. It's like there's a warehouse somewhere filled with those things covered in dirt.
And so it's like there's instances of that, and it feels like to me, as much as is available, take a walk to the toy store. Go to Target. Yeah. Show me where those figures are. Like, even
because they're not. Yeah.
Well,
today, much like the Night Force, I'd mentioned the Big Ben and the Range Viper. I didn't even know they weren't even announced. It just came out of nowhere.
I think they were leaked. They
leaked, but then they went up for sale and they were gone in like 10 minutes. Like it was insane. And then the same thing happened with the Batmobile. Like I was like, oh, I want to get that, and then it was like, I woke up this morning and it was already gone. I was like, what? I hope I find that in Target, I guess, or something, because that's something I would have definitely bought. Like a 6-inch Batmobile. I've been waiting for that for ever, kind of thing. So
the price point was excellent on that too.
Oh yeah, that's another thing. It was like wildly affordable. So I'm like, I will definitely buy that.
Was that McFarlane?
Yeah, McFarlane. Oh, so 7-inch technically.
They said, well, there's a listing on Amazon. It says temporarily out of stock, but who knows if we'll get.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not worried about it. I'm sure there will be more. I'm sure they'll bring it back. I mean, like McFarlane's just going to be like, oh wait, I can print money with this. Okay, I'll make
he's
more.
He's a machine. Yeah.
He'll make more. But it's just one of those things where you're just like, where did this come? Why? Like the official announcement happened like a day ago, and then like. And yeah, it had been leaked, but like an official announcement, and then like the next day, it's like, oh, guess what? It's up for sale, and then everyone bought it, and it's gone, and you're just like, what in the world?
Yeah, with McFarlane too, it'll come out in 6 months. It's got a blue windshield now.
Oh yeah, it'll just be like slightly different. Like,
Sig,
not wearing a mask.
Sig, did you buy Spiral solely because she came with all the katanas? I see you brandish your katana. Is that why you? Yeah, is that why you got her? Yeah, that's impressive.
I immediately ordered 2 more because she's got 6 hands but only 4 samurai swords. Like,
I noticed that, and you know what's funny? I thought about doing this and I didn't, and then Tristan picked her up and he did the exact same thing I was wanting to do. He put the flesh hand on the robot arm and gave her a robot hand here. I was like, I was going to do the same thing. He's like, so he switched around. I was like, yeah, you did it too? That's so funny, man.
From the it's the comic book version,
Oh, okay, whatever. Yeah, I just wanted I didn't like the gold things, but yeah, these katanas are just sick.
You guys right there have San Diego Comic-Con 2025 exclusive 5-pack piece right there, because that's what they're going to do. They're going to lightly airbrush it a different color and swap hands. They're not going to include 6 katanas. No, you're only going to get 2 katanas.
Yeah.
And you're going to have a microphone stand for a Dazzler figure that comes out 2 years later.
So to follow,
I can't wait for that microphone stand.
Like what they're doing with those gargoyle figures. You get Goliath, but you got to buy the next one.
Oh yeah.
I thought that was clever.
On that. Yeah,
I'm kind of on your page on that one, Dom. I don't mind that as much because, like, one, I mean, from their business perspective, it incentivizes you to buy the human characters. Fine.
Yeah.
But like, from the other perspective, like they are packaging a lot of plastic in those boxes.
Add-in,
gargoyles. Yeah, like Yeah,
those wings are too much.
It makes
they're
sense.
just like they're huge. And you need
I've been telling Dom
shelf.
for months. I was like, I really want someone to just like make a plastic hook part of their wings, and then just have cloth goods for the wings. I was like, that's what I want. Movability when they're in cape mode, kind of thing. Someone needs to make that third party. I'd buy that.
Really soft plastic.
Sitting on a gold mine.
Sometimes I don't know. Yeah, it could be. You get that fake pleather material though, like cracks in the right way would look amazing. Yeah. You could do it. You could do it well.
Hey guys, we're pushing past an hour. I just looked up and I was like, oh my gosh, it's 11:30 here. This has been a lot of fun. I love being able to just sit and like I had these questions were generating in my head while we were talking before. I was like, I really want to pick these people's minds. And the more we talked about like the world building piece and like how we're tailoring it, I was like, I'm not alone. You know, like I go to these forums, I'm like, I want to rip that arm off this guy and give it to somebody else. So it's fun to be able to talk to other creators, like creating with toys. And again, not negative. Anybody else who collects however they want. I don't care, whatever brings you joy. But obviously, those approaches were not bringing this group joy. And we've kind of stumbled into our own lot here with building and making things and making worlds. And I love it. I definitely want to have you guys back on again later on, or sorry, Joe, I forgot you're here, man.
That's fine. I wasn't supposed to be here.
I forgot. Right. So the ghost of Joe. So we definitely want to have you guys back on again. We'll pick another forum.
Absolutely.
And again, like hopefully it goes both ways. Like we'd love to be able to just pop into you guys' channels too. It's so much easier being a guest because I can just log in and be like, I don't have to prep anything. But yeah, we're already following all your content. We love it, and your stuff is the stuff that I like to show my boys. So that should speak very highly of your work. If an 8-year-old and 5-year-old can go, wow, like that's a good thing to be able to have. That the stuff
absolutely, that's the measurement of perfection, I think.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, 100%.
On that note, thanks for letting me crash in midstream for a little bit and jump in the middle of this post recording too, because I've been wasn't supposed to be here at all tonight, but I'm glad I got to at least dip in for a little bit and hang out with you guys and talk to you guys.
It was a pleasure, absolutely.
Yeah,
thanks for having us tonight. That was fun, man. Fun.
All right,
it's lots of fun.
See you guys next time.